Yo! Welcome to the Normal Mac Show. Host robnoerr, the daytime call-in show. My goodness, it is great to be with you, daytime people. Don't even get me started on the night shift. Oh my gosh. What a bunch of just degenerate losers. Even Night Shift Rob, that fat piece of shit, good for nothing, puts on a terrible show. I don't even know why people tune in, but not here on Day Shift, baby. Here, we're bringing the heat. Got the better version of Rob. We got the best damn audience. Not like those night shift degenerates, man. Anyways, glad to be here today. Oh, we got call-ins. See, Imaginarium gets it. Doesn't trust those night shift people. Why are you up so late? That's right. And you might say, well, they're in a different time zone. Then I don't trust them anyways. Eastern time zone. That's where we should all have our clocks set. Yeah, thanks. I have lost a little weight. Still not where I'd like to be. I've had a bad 2 days eating, to be honest. Damn Christmas cookies. Ah! But no, it's going well. Oh boy. Text here that I need. One second. All right, sorry. Work text. Getting stuff ready for Word War there. Man, it's great to be here. So what are we going to talk about today? Oh, it's my son's Christmas party at school, and we went out yesterday and bought little gift bags. He has 10 students that are in the class with him. So he picked out little fun, like quirky stuff, like a little bit of candy, but mostly like the little like plastic toys you can get for like $2 or $3. So he picked out a lot of those to throw in the bag, and he is so excited to go to school today and give all of his friends Christmas bags. So very pumped about that. He's a good kid, and it's always my pleasure to hang out with him. I wish I had more time. If someone just sends me like $5 million right now, I'll still stream. I will. But I stream less and I have time to spend with my son. I could stop working on different projects and just be like, nope, I'm just going to. But I am lucky. Every moment with him is just fantastic. So I got a lot planned here for the Christmas week as well. Yeah, the cheap toys, they're the same. They're still the same, like the army men type guys. There's the little sticky guys that fall down the wall. Like you put them on the wall and then they fall and they crawl down the wall. Stuff like that. And it's kind of neat. So, all right. Naughty Germ, $5 as always. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it. GG, give some membership. Thank you, man. And then Call Me GL says, have you tried the Skittles that are all natural? They're called Giggles and Amazing. And only 50 calories. I have not, but it sounds sketchy. If someone hands me a bunch of things that look like pills and like, try these, they're called Giggles, I'm going to be like, no, I'll pass. Thanks. Wow, I'm shedding off the pounds in my delirium. Oh, man. So, a couple stories we could talk about today. The big story is the economy. It's funny, my friend GG's here. He was still blackpilled about the economy. I understand why. But we were told that these inflation numbers, you remember just the other day I was talking, right? We were talking, who was I talking to about inflation numbers? The one guy I was debating in the 24-hour stream. He's like, they're going up, they're going up. There's a trend, they're going up. And I'm like, yeah, but you can take a 4-month slice out of any administration, even one that did very good on inflation, and you can see like steady, steady, up, steady. Oh, look, it went up. There's a trend, it's going up. So it didn't really make sense. Anyways, most people were predicting 3.1 year over year inflation or higher. So the number came in at 2.7, which is very good. And again, I expected it to be worse myself. I thought that the tariffs would have a short-term effect on inflation, and we're just not seeing it. So far, the highest month that we have during the second Trump administration of inflation, the highest amount is 3% year over year. That's what it was in Biden's last month when we were told that he beat inflation. So the tariffs, I'm not saying they didn't increase inflation to some degree. Uh, One second. Um, so yeah, I mean, the numbers look pretty good. And I'll play some clips here before we start the call-ins where there's not a lot negative to say about inflation. People are talking about Bongino. We talked about this in the show last night. I don't think Bongino's going to go to his show and do a tell-all. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to be loyal to the administration. I think that Bongino's probably a good guy, but talked himself up a little more than what he was capable of doing. Not necessarily because he's not talented, but because I don't know how much you could root out corruption from an assistant spot. He probably likes Kaj Patel, would be my guess, and likes the Trump administration, and thinks that they did some good work, but thinks that there's a lot of stuff they couldn't do. But he's going to toe the party line. He's gonna toe the party line. It's just undoubtable, in my opinion. I don't think he's gonna go back to his show and be like, "Let me tell you all the shit that's screwed up about Kaj Patel and the Trump." I just don't see it. Other possible, I think he missed his family, which I would like. Look, this sounds stupid, but I'm gonna tell you right now. One of the big concerns I had running for Congress in 2019 was I fucking hate the city. I don't want to spend time in DC, and I'll miss my family. And now the biggest reason that I won't run for Congress again is because of my son, because I do not want to be apart from him. That's that. Maybe I would reconsider running when he's like 18 or something. I don't know. But as for right now, I enjoy my family. On top of that, Bongino did get diagnosed with cancer. Now, this was a long time ago and he beat it, but maybe either his health, maybe there's health situations we don't know about, or maybe that just put his life in a different perspective. So, I don't know. I don't anticipate that we're going to get any huge revelations from Dan Bongino back. And there'll be little things, but I don't think there's going to be any throwing under the bus. I think he's going to be like, Kaj Patel's the best. Trump administration's great. They're trying the damnedest. The swamp is deep. We did a lot. We found all this stuff in these burn bags. Investigations take a long time. Trust me, the wheels are moving. That's what I expect. So, what do I think about Mark Levin saying Trump's the first Jewish president? I mean, I think Trump has been very good to Israel. I do. Um, I don't think he's as captured as people say. I think Trump's more captured by sort of a neocon agenda than he is Oh, it's Israel calling the shots on him. Does Israel have influence with the neocons? Sure. So, did I take the call? Did I get it from Israel? I wish. Pay me, Israel. If that's what you're implying. No, I'm not getting paid by any government. Uh, so, I don't know. But Mark Levin, he also knows. Look, you have to understand with someone like Mark Levin, I'm not even saying this is a negative. A lot of people in the commentary scene, whether it be Mark Levin, I think Tucker Carlson, you could put into this group, and some other folks, they know that they sort of have a chance to have Trump's ear. You know what I mean? Like, Trump's going to listen to people. He's going to listen to where there's big audiences at. And so if you're Mark Levin, does it hurt to blow a little smoke up Trump's ass? Oh, he's great. First Israeli president ever. He's fantastic. Of course not. Shalom Shabbat. No. So, so that's my thoughts on that. Weege, thanks so much. $5 says hello, Roberto. Hello to you, Weege. Call me GL. Have I seen the Charlie Kirk burned hand stuff? Wow. Nope. I have no idea what you're talking about. Is that the new Candace Owens? Okay. He says there are multiple pictures from multiple angles that look like his hands are burned. Could be from the microphone he was holding with energy expelled, but it looks really weird. Huh. They think he was electrocuted, not shot, and his hands were burned. I don't know. I feel like if you wanted to, anytime anyone dies of sort of public prominence, you could probably, oh yeah, what's this? I noticed at the funeral, I noticed his head was tilted, 3 degrees to the left. And if you ask coroners, they say they never do that because of XYZ. What's going on there? That seems fishy. Looks suspicious to me. What's up with that? And if you notice the funeral home that they used, well, the director of that funeral home formerly did work with, Massachusetts Governor so-and-so. So what's up with that? And you'll remember that, Charlie Kirk, he criticized that governor in the past. So, and it's like, again, I don't begrudge anyone looking into things. I don't. I think that we should all have a healthy distrust of official stories, whether it confirms our biases or not. I think that's something we should do. And I'm not offended by people that want to look into this stuff. I just feel like, it certainly could, like I said before, I know this is the most milquetoast bullshit take, but this is how I honestly feel. Question everything, totally fine. I'm not offended. Might not be for me, but whatever. But if you're going to specifically name people, particularly people that are connected to the victim, co-workers, worked in the same organization, family members, then you better have some fucking goods. You don't willy-nilly say shit like that. And this applies not just to this situation with Charlie Kirk, but anywhere. You don't say, Bob Smith here, whose son Timmy was murdered in the Sandy Hook shootings. Bob Smith's a liar. He murdered his own son. I mean, that's a fucked up thing to say without proof. That's a grieving father, as far as we know. Now, I'm not saying you should go to prison or any of that shit, and I think what happened to Alex Jones was asinine. How much that they punished him. But, you got to be careful with that shit. Yeah, Call Me GL says, leave Candace out of it. She went too far. Yeah, on the scale of, I think that this dude at Turning Point, helped set up Charlie to kill him versus, wait a minute, there's something odd with this picture, Charlie's hands look burned, are two completely different levels of, I don't have any problem with the latter. It's okay. It might be a bit crazy, but that's okay. We don't mind crazy once in a while. So, says, I'm not gonna, at some bullshit where he's buried. I think the burned hands could have a good explanation, but it's interesting. Yeah. No, I'm not accusing you. I'm just saying that there are things that you could, I feel like you could, with a microscope, look at any death and be like, something looks odd here. Something looks odd. That's all I'm saying. But I don't mind people looking. That's fine. They think Candace got the call. Hey, listen, here's the thing. If you play that game, if you start specifically accusing people or heavily alluding to specific people based on sort of vague, trust me, I've seen the proof, people are going to do that to you. Now, I see Tim Pool saying that about Candace now. He's saying, I've seen the text messages. I've seen them. People have showed me the text messages of Candace Owens talking shit on Charlie Kirk before he died. I know that she's worked with some of these security people. Okay, right? When you start to play that game, you open yourself up. It reminds me, the Israel stuff reminds me of this comedian I really like, Doug Stanhope. And Doug Stanhope's a big, like, libertarian-esque, like, conspiracy guy. At least he was. And he has a comedy special. It's just fantastic from like 2008 or 2009. And he's just bitching about the deep state and all this and the other. And he's like, yeah, but who am I kidding? If they called me up tomorrow and wanted to hire me, I'd put on my best suit, be like, yes, sir. It's funny. Yeah, she couldn't show up to Turning Point for a stream that day, but showed up to Erica's meeting. My sincere opinion, without delving too much into the Candace Erica thing, is I think this is a fair assumption. We'll see if someone disagrees with me. I think attorneys were probably involved. And I'll bet that Erica Trump's attorneys were like, listen, we can't tell you not to speculate. That's fine. But when you start naming and attacking people's characters, we're going to file some lawsuits. Now, here's the proof. And what happens is, it's one thing for, and I understand why in a free speech sense, I should be allowed to speculate, particularly about public figures. I should be allowed to say, maybe the Clintons killed Vince Foster. I should be allowed to say that. But once I'm offered proof, then it becomes acting with malice, which I believe is a different legal standard. Now it's easier to prove, like defamation, because you can't say, well, I didn't know. It's like, you knew. The proof was there. We showed you the proof. We told you to stop. You didn't. So I think that that's probably a lot of what the Erica Trump, Candace Owens meeting was. I believe a lot of it was like, look, we're going to show you some shit publicly, right? We would like you to voluntarily stop. However, if not, we are going to proceed with legal action. Did I say Erica Trump? Whoops, Erica Kirk. I may have said Erica Trump. So, I don't know. Yeah, and that's the other thing that I've seen people commenting. It's like, look, I get as frustrated as every. Now, you have to understand, I'm a layman. I'm a redneck, right? I'm a just break shit guy. That's my impulse. Rob, you're president. What's the first thing you're doing? Fucking disbanding the FBI, investigating every one of the motherfuckers that have ever worked there. Releasing all the information public to every shady motherfucking thing they've ever done. That's step one. And then someone's probably going to tell me, yeah, you can't do that. There's so many legal loopholes and this, that, and the other. So I am not practical in a sense in a lot of this stuff. I see how the system is set up to give plausible deniability to allow them to do all kinds of crazy shit. They can attack and investigate and jail their opponents. They can protect the people that are their allies. But I also understand that's the system. So what am I talking about? Yeah, is it frustrating as shit when constantly you're like, here's a crazy case with public interest. What's going on with this? And they say, it's an ongoing investigation. We can't show you anything. Yeah, that sucks ass. It does. However, in many cases, like this Charlie Kirk assassination case, let's for a second assume that Tyler Robinson did it. Let's assume that the story we've been told is basically it, right? If we start releasing, if the police, and I believe it's police in Utah that are running this, if they're like, well, fuck it, here's the evidence. See, now shut up, Candace. Tyler Robinson's lawyer is going to be like, yeah, it's a mistrial, dude. You can't do that. And then the killer walks free. But hey, at least we all got to see the proof before the trial. Now, the flip side of that is, well, if it is a cover-up, of course they're going to use well, we can't show you any evidence because it's an ongoing investigation. I get that. I get frustrated as shit with that as well. But a lot of this, it's like, well, isn't it suspicious that this hasn't been released yet? I mean, no. That's how most murder investigations go. And murder trials. I don't know. And again, I'm not here like, um, this is working out quite well for Candace. What can I say? So, Yoshi, $5 says, can you destroy Brian Shapiro again? Sure, he's welcome to call in anytime. I'll do his radio show on a weekly basis if he wants. I don't think he'll want to, though. If you could do that weekly, it'd be great. Also, have you ever done raids on other YouTube debaters? No. I did Discord raids. When I get my new computer, I'll do TikTok raids. The YouTube debate scene's a little different, though, because what happens is you go and then you just sit in a pool and you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait until they bring you up. And then as soon as you make a good point, they just mute you like the lefties. They just mute you and send you to the back. So, I don't know. But I am trying to set up more debates. I love it. All right. All kinds of things we could talk about today. I'll just play you two little clips. Inflation numbers, CNN. I play CNN because, as you know, not big fans of Trump. So they bring in this Harvard professor. He's going to talk about the inflation numbers.
I mean, I was surprised. It was a better number than anyone was expecting. Look, inflation's been very high. It's stayed high. It has not been coming down. But, people were expecting it to be above 3%. It was well below 3%. I mean, I think the president will take this as good news. The investors will think that interest rates will get cut more. So, it was a positive news. There's no other way to spin it.
Absolutely.
That's CNN. That's a Harvard professor there telling you that. And I think he's right. Now, again, it's only part of the story, right? If this AI bubble bursts, none of this shit's going to matter. So that's part of the story. Let's see. What else did I have? We've heard a lot about Trump's polling numbers. And again, like I said, Trump's polling higher now than Bush was in his second term, than Obama was in his second term, and than Biden was during this time. He is, right? And listen, Republicans in Congress suck. There's no two ways about it. Right? But how about the Democrats? What do people think of them?
How are voters feeling about Democrats right now?
Yeah, I mean, Democrats in the minds of the American public are lower than the Dead Sea. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look. The net approval rating for Democrats in Congress, you said it, Kate Baldwin, the lowest ever. Look at this. Overall, they are 55 points underwater. Their approval rating is south of 20%. It's even worse when you look at independents. Look at this. Negative 61 points. That means that their approval rating is 61 points lower than their disapproval rating. Quinnipiac has been polling this question for the better part of the 21st century. They have never found Democrats, at least those in Congress, in worse shape than they are right now.
Now, what does this all mean? Republicans aren't popular. Democrats aren't popular. This is why someone like Mamdani wins in New York. People are desperate for anyone that they perceive as an outsider. Anyone. They rightly feel that the system sucks. Maybe this exact poll sucks. I don't know. But the general thrust of this is correct. People are tired of the Republicans in Congress. People are tired of the Democrats in Congress. People want something different. And especially young people. They're not ideologically captured. They're like, I want a house. I want to be able to afford a house. I want to be able to afford shit that my grandparents could afford. That's what I want. Trump's promising that. Great. We'll support Trump. Oh shit. I don't feel that he's working fast enough. Fuck it. We'll go the complete opposite way. And we'll support Mamdani. Populism. That's what people want. People feel the institutions are failing them. And they are. And she might say, how in the world, if that poll's anywhere close to true, how in the world could Democrats win if they're 55 points underwater? Because everybody hates the Republicans too. And the system, the voting, the way we vote's corrupt. I don't just mean mail-in votings, though that's corrupt. But the whole system said, go ahead, you try to run for Congress. I tried. Good luck. Unless you're independently wealthy, the chances of you operating outside this system and getting elected to Congress is slim to none. It can happen. You have to be way more talented than I was. So it's a self-perpetuating system that we can't get out of. Harambe 2028. Is he old enough to run? I don't know. But that's, I mean, the numbers, I think they show that picture that people are tired of it. They're just tired. And listen, I've been saying this for a long time. When I ran for Congress in 2019, the big thing, everybody in my district, the most conservative district in Pennsylvania, all they wanted to do was shit on AOC. She's stupid. She's an idiot. How could people be so dumb to vote for her? And I was like, I wouldn't say that. I was like, I think you're underestimating her, one. And second, because AOC might not be book smart. She might not be smart on issues, but man, is she smart when it comes to drumming up support from within her base. She's smart with social media. And you can say, that shit's stupid. It's not stupid. That shit matters. Yes, I ran for Congress. I tried to run in 2015 as a Libertarian. In 2019, I ran as a Republican in a special election. In District 12, I believe it was. It did get Mamdani in, right. And people belittle it. The other thing is you don't want to insult the voters. I'm not going to insult one Mamdani voter. I'm not going to insult one AOC voter. These are people that desperately want change. I sympathize with that. I think they're going in the direct opposite direction that we should. But I understand saying the system has failed us. Yes, agreed. As a whole, as a body, forget Republican and Democrat, as a body, what do Congress do? What do they do? Can anybody tell me? They seem to be the least influential branch of our government. And if anything, they're supposed to be equal. If anything, you would expect Congress to maybe be a little stronger than the other two branches. Anything that gets done now is through the executive, whether it be Trump or Biden. Congress ain't doing shit. And then the courts overstepping their rules all the time. So the executive, in particular the agents, the unelected bureaucrats in the executive, that's where the power is. And then the courts there to stymie that in corrupt ways when they feel like it. That's about it. What's Congress do? Nothing. They can't even do the bare minimum. They can't even pass a budget. Every time they have to pass a budget, it's a fucking emergency like, oh my goodness, we only have one day to do this. If you operated like this at your place of work, where you had like some menial task that you had to get done and, it's like, dude, you got 100 days to get this done. You're like, sure. And it's like, hey man, did you do anything in that? We're down to 75 days. Yeah. Okay, man, we're down to 25 days. You got that done? Yeah. Hey man, it's due tomorrow. Oh, fuck! This snuck up on me. What have you been doing for 100 days? We passed a resolution condemning socialism. It's horseshit. They don't do anything. And again, I'm saying Republicans as well. Republicans and Democrats. They don't do a damn thing. If Democrats win the midterms, what are they going to do? What will the Democrats in Congress do? What's the first thing they're going to do if they win the midterms? Anyone tell me? They're going to start pushing for healthcare legislation? Is that going to be the first thing? They're going to say, okay, now it's time to work with Republicans because we're going to need the president's signature to get this stuff. Yes, they're going to impeach Trump. That's what they're going to do. Fuck those Democrats, they're terrible. Okay, what have Republicans done? They passed the CR, that was just the Democrat CR, that the Democrats shut down the fucking government to get nothing and passed the very CR that they voted for under Biden. And then they passed the big, beautiful bill. Other than that, you'd be hard-pressed to find something of meaning they've done. Now, Mike Johnson's out there saying, trust us. When we come back in January, we're going to get started with a bunch of bills to enshrine Trump's executive orders into legislation. Okay. It's just, and again, I'm saying this as in a nonpartisan way. I'm fucking partisan as shit, don't get me wrong. I'm as biased as you'll ever meet. I try to limit my bias and try to be as objective as possible. But I'm certainly partisan and biased. There's no doubt. Don't get it twisted. But if I'm putting on my nonpartisan shoes, man, does Congress fucking suck, both parties. And I think people are just like, it's not even close. It's not like, it's like, well, 4 out of 10 people have problems with Congress. It's like they're 60 points underwater. It's incredible. It's incredible how hated Congress is. And when I talk to people, everyone's like, I know Congress sucks, but not my guy. My guy's good. So I'm going to vote for him again. He's been there for 13 terms. Ha ha! It's like, what the fuck are we doing here? What are we doing? And the age of these fucking people. And again, I'm saying that as someone who supported Trump. But at least with Trump, the guy was never in politics until he ran for president. You get these people like Mitch McConnell or Nancy Pelosi or Dianne Feinstein. And it's just like, they're just there until they're like 80. What the fuck are we doing? Being incumbent is so powerful, and they fucking suck. Tell me right now. I'm sure there are Congress people you like. There's Congress people I like. But as a whole, if tomorrow something was passed, I don't care if fucking aliens attack and demand it, whatever. And starting in 2026, there could be not one incumbent. Every single member of Congress, House and Senate had to go. Do you think things would get better or worse in Congress? And I know there's a lot of negatives. Yeah, but Rob, who are you going to bring in? They're not going to understand the system. You need those people. Yes, but even with those negatives baked in, I would still say things would be better. That's how crazy it is. And I've said this in other aspects. When the big red wave was supposed to occur in 2022 here in Pennsylvania, I was talking to a lot of the Republican people in Pennsylvania. They put forth Dr. Oz against John Fetterman. And prior to Biden's disastrous debate performance, John Fetterman's debate performance was one of the worst I'd ever seen. In fact, we'll see if we could find this. The beginning of that debate, I mean, in fairness to Fetterman, he did have a stroke. The man could barely talk. I don't know what clip this is, but it's from that debate, and it was all bad, so here we go.
For you, Mr. Fetterman, Vice President Kamala Harris says the southern border is secure, yet we are seeing an unprecedented number of migrants crossing. Is the border secure? And if not, what would you do to fix what both parties are calling a crisis? You have 60 seconds, Mr. Fetterman.
Yeah. I believe that a secure border can be compatible with compassion. I believe we need a comprehensive and bipartisan solution for immigration. That's what I believe. I don't ever recall in the Statue of Liberty did they say, take our tired, huddled masses and put them on a bus and use cheap political stunts about them. I believe we have to develop a comprehensive and bipartisan solution to address our issue here for immigration here in our nation.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. On to the next.
That was one of the more salient points. And when you go back and you look at what was going on, it's actually fucking horrible what happened there. Because there's no doubt that his family and friends pressured him to stay in the race. And what happened there was fucked up. Because if you go back, I promise I'll get to the call-in right after this. If you go back, what had happened was he had this stroke before the Democratic primary ended. Now, if it was after, you understand the position from the Democrats. It's like, well, if you drop out now, it's too late. Dr. Oz wins. But if you drop out before the primary's over, you put another Democrat in there. So they put this guy up there. Then now, once you're in for penny and for pound, now he's in. Okay, they hid the health facts. Okay, that's real shitty there by the Democrats. Then the poor guy, he's struggling. The media's covering for him. It's a fucking disaster. It's a nightmare. Republicans lose that election. Part because they put a guy who was one of the worst candidates. I'm not even saying Dr. Oz is a bad guy. I don't know the guy. I've heard good things about him, to be honest. But he was not a good candidate for working class Pennsylvania. He did not run a good campaign. It was shit. And I was talking to campaign people, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Not high-level people, but people that were involved at local levels. And they lost. And I was like, and like, there's videos of me talking to some dudes that are like county commissioners and shit like that. And I'm like, listen, y'all need to go. Get the fuck out. We need new leadership in the Republican Party. Remember we had Ronna Romney McDaniel that was fucking running the RNC. You remember this? What a fucking shit show. And everybody would agree, I know there needs to be significant changes. But But every time you're like, okay, now this guy needs to go. Well, he's a good guy. Okay, well, this lady needs to go. Well, what are we doing here? We're getting our ass kicked. Nothing's being done. But it's like, well, as a whole, the group sucks. But each individual we point to, good person, good person, good person, good person. I'm sorry. Something's got to change. And I told them, I was like, listen, I don't give a fuck if it means that I never get access to anyone again. If I had to choose between keeping everyone or removing everyone, I'm removing everyone. Even the good ones. And I know good ones. I'm sorry. If you're not capable of saying significant change needs to occur, then y'all need to go. And I understand. You're going to be like, but look at what I did. Look at how good I am. I'll say, excellent. Then I'm sure you'll understand the need to go to facilitate getting everyone the fuck out of here. But go ahead, try it with Congress. Try it. People you know politically. I'm telling you, I've seen this dozens of times in my life. I'll be talking to someone, oh, Congress is the shittiest. They don't do anything, blah, 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 blah. So who you voting for? Oh, I like my congressman. He's good. Really? Yeah. That's how it works. My guy's good for my area. Okay. All right. It's your show, too. So let's open it up to call-ins. Now, we can talk about these. There's a lot of other topics, to be honest. I got a lot I could talk about in the show tonight. Some videos about SNAP abuse that's occurring. So you can talk about that. The economy in general. Feckless Republicans, feckless Democrats. Whatever you like. Candace Owens again, yay. If you want to talk about that. Sure, why not? Dan Bongino. There's the link. It's pinned to the top. We're going to abide by terms of service. No racial slurs, no homophobic slurs. No calls to violence. You know the drill. Whatever you want to talk about is fine by me. Now, I will say, though, we already got calls coming in. What is happening? What is happening with the donos here? Night Shift dropped the ball. They're terrible last night. There's my PayPal, at robnoerr. And then, if you prefer Cash App, $ robnoerr. Convention of States isn't a bad idea. I would push for it. Talk about pop music? Okay. But, my goodness. Oh, wow, look at that. I knew to look. EH, thank you so much for the $20 on PayPal. I appreciate it. Oh, they sent another billion to Ukraine? Oh, shit. Oh, that's a big story, too. I forgot to cover. Some Ukraine stuff going on. Destiny versus Dinesh D'Souza. When's that occurring? Did that already occur? I didn't know about it. Anyways, get those donos in. We're at a paltry $27 here. It's okay. It's the holiday season. I know people are tapped out. But it's still my job to say, hey, you guys should send some money. Thank you to everyone over on Rumble, too. I see you guys over there. Thank you. 26 great people watching over there. I'll have to check it out. I didn't know that they debated. How'd that go? So, get those donos in. And remember, if you want to get in the call queue, better to do it earlier than later. You know how it goes. 2:30, I have a hard out to go pick up my son. Oh, yeah, we talked about that last night. The $1,776 for the troops. Yeah. I don't know, Chronomaster. Why am I not viral? I don't have the look for it. Once I lose weight, then the sky's the limit, you know. But yeah, get people in that call-in queue. Nate Tripp, thank you so much, man, for the super sicker. $10. Appreciate it. All right, here we go. First call. Shaky boy, what's happening?
Hello, man. Hello, Rob. How you doing today?
Doing great. It's great to hear you.
All right. So, I am studying to become a lawyer, and it's pretty difficult. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about the Candace Owens debacle going on with the Charlie Kirk thing.
Yeah.
So, as someone who's studying the law, this trial, if she keeps up what she's doing, is just going to be an absolute shit show. Because we just had the first pre-trial stuff where Mr. Robinson made his first appearance, and the problem is that with Candace spewing over conspiracy theories left and right of who did it, that's just going to be a huge problem when it comes to jury selection, right? So it just like anything, the best thing to do is just unfortunately shut up, let it play out, and then we won't have any problems.
It is. I don't disagree. I think that a lot of the stuff. Look, if you're Tyler Robinson's defense attorney, of course you're going to raise these issues. Of course, it's a weird give and take. Like on one hand, yes. Again, like if Tyler Robinson's the murderer, then obviously the best thing is everybody just be quiet, let the process play out, so that we have a trial, the guy gets convicted, and then we talk about all of it afterwards. However, the problem with that is, okay, but if there was some sort of cover-up, by the time that occurs, then it's too late. And it's like, well, now people aren't interested. You're a year down the road. Tyler Robinson got convicted. Let's move on to something else, right? So from that perspective, I understand why people want to say, wait a minute, is this being covered up in real time? Because the further you get away from a cover-up, the less chance you'll have of credibly being able to expose the cover-up. People lose interest, evidence gets washed away, etc., other issues come up. But yeah, I mean, in this instance, I think that what's happening is, and this is just my opinion as someone who admittedly hasn't watched a lot of what Candace is saying, it seems to me sort of a let's just throw shit at the wall type scenario. And it's one thing if it's like, look, I have like this theory and this credible evidence on this aspect of it. It's another if it's like, well, maybe I have some evidence on this part, but I'm going to say X and Y and Z and A and B and C and D and E and F, and maybe something will end up being somewhat true. And I think to me, it sort of reeks of just grasping at straws because you think that the overall theory is correct. And that's damaging, like you said, to not just the trial, but also to people. I mean, I think it's damaging to the memory of Charlie Kirk and what he built in a lot of ways, and to his family. So,
Yeah, and then also, we may never know who may actually have shot him. It's just one of those things where people say it was Tyler Robinson. It may have been somebody else. We may never know. However, as much as I don't trust the FBI and stuff to give us a, actual, here's what happened, this is what we're looking at, all the grand pomp and circumstance of going through the system. If it is the case that Tyler is Mr. Robinson is a murderer, then he needs to go to jail. There needs to be a trial. However, when you're saying stuff like, oh, it was TPUSA, it was Erica Kirk, it was this, and this, you're detracting from the investigation where they currently have, and now you're at this point where I'm pretty sure what's going to end up happening is that they're probably going to end up sequestering the jury that they selected, and it's just going to be a mess.
It definitely will be a mess. And here's another way to look at it. And listen, you hate to say this, right? But we have to be realistic here as well. It's politically, what Candace is doing is of huge benefit to the left, right? Because if this guy is the shooter, as to me it seems, at least, whatever. Again, I'm not an expert. And we saw the mass cheering from people on the left of the murder of Charlie Kirk. Not only have we failed to keep that narrative going, to expose just how violent the left is and how bloodthirsty, and they'll cheer for him and they'll make fun of Charlie Kirk's death, and they'll make fun of his widow. But like, if I'm on the left, I'm like, great, You can't even make that criticism to the left anymore because the person probably harming Erica Kirk the most is a righty, Candace Owens. She's out there saying, don't blame the left, blame Turning Point USA. Blame Israel, blame Egypt, blame Macron. Like, and it's like, okay. Now, again, am I saying that Candace doesn't have the right to say this? No. Am I saying that if you truly believe something, that even if you think it would hurt you politically, you shouldn't say it? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that what's happening here is it's going to hurt with the trial. It's going to hurt with the politics of it. It's harming the legacy that Charlie Kirk built. Now, is that all worth it if the people at Turning Point USA were involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk? Yes, it would be worth it to harm that because it's the cause of justice is more important. But I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see the goods yet. In fact, I could be wrong, but it seemed to me, based on admittedly small clips, the whole airplane debacle, it seemed to me like I saw a clip after Candace Owens talked to Erica Kirk's people. I don't know why I have that. It seems that after she talked to them, she started to change. Well, actually, the list I had of when these Egyptian planes were, Erica's location, it turns out that was wrong. That wasn't Erica's location. So now it's not that they were just following Erica, it's that they were following Turning Point in general. And it's like, well, that's a big whoopsie. If that's your claim, like, wait a minute, right? That was core to your claim.
Right.
Oh, these planes 73 times were right where Erica was. Well, not really. I screwed up. It's like, okay, like.
Well, and then on the Piers Morgan show, she just basically flat out admitted that she didn't have any concrete evidence, and it's just like, you just said that you have all this evidence that points to X, Y, and Z, and now you're just flat out admitting that the evidence that you do have is not concrete. You're just damaging everything you're saying and hurting the prosecution's case. If Tyler Robinson is the actual person, the only person you're hurting is the prosecution. You claim that Charlie was your friend, which a lot of people have said, after the fact, all this came out, she actually hated him. I don't know. It's just, I'm not sure what to think about the whole situation. The problem is that she's just really hurting who she claims to be her friend's legacy, and if she wants actual justice, she shouldn't shut her mouth per se. She should just tone down the rhetoric. And I hate saying that specific phrase because of obvious points of like if all the evidence suggests that Tyler did do it, then you just gotta let the dice roll. Is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree. And a couple other things, right? Like, I know a lot of what she's doing is like, and this is fair, and I've done this myself here, where it's like, well, if it was a cover-up, this is how things would look. Okay,
Right.
well, I could play that game as well. If Candace was working to help Democrats, this is how it would look. If
Right.
Candace was working to try to help Taylor Robinson get off the hook, this is how it would look, right? I could play that game.
Mhm.
If Candace was just saying whatever the hell she wanted to make money for herself, this is how it would look. Now, that doesn't mean it's true that she's doing these things for those reasons that I said above, but this is how it would look. So I'm just asking questions, right? That's all.
Yeah.
I'm just asking questions. The other thing is, for the sake of Candace Owens, once you go far enough down this rabbit hole, the problem is you cultivate an audience that's, they're not going to just stop there, right? And so do you think when people, because every one of us have something that if you looked at, you could find some connection. I'm sure, despite being a redneck, that basically knows no one, that you could theoretically be like, well, Rob went to this Republican event and this guy was there and he's a Zionist. And then 4 weeks after that, all of a sudden Rob gets to go on Tim Pool's show. Coincidence? Huh? And it's like, yes, it is a coincidence. That's life. And so Candace is going to quickly see that, in my opinion. People are going to start doing that with her. if she rolls any of this back, and I think you're already seeing it, did you get the call, Candace? Are you working for Israel now? Huh? Wait a minute. Let's look at your life. Who are you connected to? And she's gonna be like, well, this sucks. And it's like, yeah, that does suck. But people are just asking questions. That's what you're doing, right?
Right. And after her meeting with Erica Kirk, yes, Erica Kirk. So you got me doing that. Dang it. After her meeting with Erica Kirk, I try to avoid X because there's a lot of drama going on that I just cannot be bothered to care about. But after her meeting, I immediately saw somebody, I'm not going to name any names, immediately scream to the heavens, Candace Owens got the call, guys. She's over. It's just like, it's no matter what, this whole situation is fucked 2 ways from Tuesday. And the only person she's hurting, whether you believe that Erica Kirk, is just making money, whatever. The fact of the matter is, she still did lose her husband. That's terrible. No one should go through that. And the only person I see that this whole situation is hurting is Erica. And it's a crying shame because I think Erica means all. I don't want to say that she doesn't seem to know what she's getting herself into taking over TV USA, which, I mean, for the first couple of years that Charlie was doing this, as Andrew said, Charlie wasn't as good as he was. So if she's going to take the role, she's going to have to really buckle down and learn the ropes.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just one of those things. Or as someone that's studying law, it hurts me whenever Candace opens her mouth and says something just so blatantly crazy, like the Macrons did. Okay, what's your lawsuit with Bridget and Emmanuel had to do with this?
Yeah. Well, and that was that was a crazy situation. Like the whole Bridget's a man. Trust me, bro. And it's like, okay, like.
Oh, on that note, I don't mean to pip it, but here's something funny about that whole lawsuit situation. Everyone says that, hey, she's suing. Bridget is suing Candace because she called her rent. No, that's not why Bridget is suing Candace. The reason Bridget is suing Candace is because she said Bridget used to be either Emmanuel's father or something along those lines. Something about being his father that transitioned into a female and grew. It was just, the whole situation is crazy. But
It is. It definitely is. Well, hey, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to play a clip of Candace here real quick, but it's always a pleasure, man. It's great to talk to you again, and hopefully we'll talk soon, man.
All right. Thank you very much, Robin.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I saw someone, Kitty said, that I was, Candace didn't adjust. It was just people misinterpreted her data on the Egyptian planes. Here's the clip I saw.
Lastly, I want to add, of course, I was locked in this meeting when people online were another round of debunking the Egyptian planes. I want to be very clear. We discussed the Egyptian planes, and I have since worked on an incredible document about the Egyptian planes, which we are going to put up on our website, because I realized that when we shared that spreadsheet, people assumed that one of the columns, which was actually saying where the planes landed on that day, because it was plus or minus 3 days, was exactly where Erica had been on that day, and that was inaccurate. And so for clarity, I had been working on the last week on turning it into an interactive timeline that we can put up on our website, because I'm certain that these Egyptian planes are incredibly shady and that they were, in fact, tracking Turning Point USA, Faith, broader events. Of course, Erica was at some of them, Charlie was at some of them, but it is the pattern here is undeniable. So let the naysayers and people make videos trying to, fifth round debunk these planes. I also want to say to you that I feel very confident that I know why these planes have caused such panic. And it is because there is overwhelming evidence that these planes regularly fly in and out of Israel. And I'm going to present that evidence tomorrow. I say that strongly. This is I feel very confident saying these Egyptian planes are flying in and out. And notice I'm saying planes because once I was able to connect people that were on those planes onto other Egyptian planes, I was able to realize that these planes are flying in and out.
Okay. So her argument is people were stupid and they misread her data. Her data wasn't where Erica Trump is. Her data was these planes were there. So it's a nothing. The story's a nothing. Within 3 days of Turning Point USA events, not where Erica's at, Egyptian planes tend to be. And furthermore, Egypt, which borders on Israel, has planes that go in and out of Israel. Okay. Holy shit. I think the Canadian government was involved because the United States has planes that go in and out of Canada. I mean, I thought Shaky Boy sounded great, by the way. I think he does sound like an awesome Southern lawyer. I still don't understand. I still don't understand what the plane argument's even getting at. Israelis were spying on Turning Point USA, and instead of doing something like have people go to the events that were publicly available, they put planes in the air? What the fuck are we talking about? What are we talking about? What data were they collecting? Look at that. Publicly available Turning Point meetings. Let's put planes in the air over top of them. Okay, for what? Well, to make sure that that the events are going. That's what we're gonna do. I just don't understand it. Well, if the Israeli presence was there, why would you do that? If you're spying on someone, why would you publicly, I don't even know what to say. I guess that I don't understand spying. I thought spying was you try to be secretive. You don't want an average Joe Schmo to be able to go, that's weird. I've been to 3 Turning Point USA events and these planes keep going overhead. What the fuck's that about? Oh, let me check the public leisure. Israeli planes. That's odd. Huh. That seems like real fucking piss poor spying, in my opinion. There we have it. There we have it. You see? Now, sweet James, here's the deal. Candace Owens is actually working with Satanists, I've heard. Allegedly, she's working with Satanists to spread this false narrative because it wasn't Israel that did this. It was actually Ukraine. It was actually Ukraine that did it. And Maduro and Venezuela. And actually, Tyler Robinson was one of the head of these satanic churches, allegedly, is what's going on. And Candace Owens is trying to cover up with it. Believe what you're told, though. Believe what you're told. Go ahead and just blindly accept what you're told, you fucking loser. You're blindly accepting what you're told, right? That's a straw man there, bud. No, the straw man is assuming that if I say, wait a minute, I'm not so sure about this shit Candace is saying, that I must just be an idiot that believes whatever I'm told. No, you fucking idiot. The idea that you could have a healthy distrust of the FBI while simultaneously saying everyone that comes up with any theory ever isn't necessarily accurate and we could interrogate their positions just like we would interrogate the FBI's position doesn't mean that I just believe what I told. You fucking idiot, just believe whatever you're told. You'll kiss Candace Owens' ass and believe whatever the fuck she says because you lack critical thinking, you fucking moron. And then you accuse other people that are like, wait a minute, I don't know what she thinks she's proving here. So you just believe whatever you're told. No, you fucking idiot. What we're doing is criticizing dumb fucks like you that believe whatever you're told. It's just you don't believe it from the FBI, you believe it from Candace Owens. What's the fucking difference? Candace is an idiot. Okay, then what am I doing when I say, wait a minute, I'm asking questions of her to, quote, believe whatever I'm told? Explain. How am I believing whatever I'm told by saying, wait a minute. So now your point is Candace is an idiot. You could say it. Does that mean, oh, there he is. He says Candace is an idiot, so he clearly just believes whatever he's told. There you go, Sweet James. Look at this guy. What a government bootlicker. Believes whatever he's told. What a dumbass. Can you believe this guy? Whatever the government says about Candace Owens, he's going to believe because he thinks Candace Owens is an idiot. Government bootlicker. There you have it. That's terrible. We don't really like government bootlickers here. This false dichotomy that it's like either you have to believe everything the government ever says or you have to believe everything Candace Owens says. It's fucking ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. It's so stupid. I'm not even saying you're a shitty person for believing Candace. That's fine. I'm just saying if your position is, well, if you question what Candace Owens is saying, then you're like a bootlicker. You just believe everything the government tells you. What the fuck are you talking about? It's so frustrating. Well, if you have questions about the official story about 9/11, but you don't believe that the towers were holograms, well, then you must just believe everything that you were told about it. You must believe everything, right? It could very well be that Tyler Robinson wasn't the killer or that he was involved with high-powered people. I'm perfectly reasonable. I don't dive into every little conspiracy. I don't. Literally, you could do this with hundreds of events. Hundreds. And no one has the time or the intellectual capacity to delve deeply into each one. Assassination attempt of Trump. Assassination of Melissa Horton. Assassination of Kirk. Second assassination of Trump. Assassination attempt of Kavanaugh. Attack on Rand Paul that we saw. Brown University shooting. The Nashville shooting of children. Uvalde. Any school shooting you could take. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. If someone were to say to me, listen, this Nashville shooting, the official story that this was a trans person, this is bullshit. This is a government cover-up. The reality is this was a Trump supporter that was pretending to be trans, and he was working directly with the FBI. Let me prove it to you. Why are you so lazy, Rob? Why didn't you look into this? I'd be like, I don't know, man. Maybe you're right. Let's see the goods. Unless you can show me the goods, I just don't have the time to delve into each one of these things. So Candace is getting a big spotlight. Okay. The other night, I'm like, I don't really know what she said, but hey, I have no problem with her questioning. She's right to question. If she starts specifically saying this person did it, she better have the goods because that's pretty shitty to do unless you have pretty positive proof. And then I started asking people like, what's her theory? And they're like, wow, Egyptian planes. And I'm like, what's the theory here? Well, you know, they were flying 73 times. They flew over Erica Kirk. Okay. And so what's the theory? Why? Well, she hasn't said. What? Well, she hasn't said. But they're really Israeli planes. Okay. So the argument is, well, you know, isn't it odd? Yeah, but if the argument, again, I could say this, like, you try to follow a story that would make sense. Okay, Israel did it. Israel killed Charlie Kirk. Okay, so the planes connect to this in what way? If the story was, did you know that an hour after Charlie Kirk was killed, an Israeli plane landed at the airport closest? It was, you know, really brief landing, like 30 minutes, and then took off, I'd be like, oh, accusation is real killer got on the Israeli plane. Got it? I'm not saying that's true, but it's like, there's a theory I can make sense. What is the theory here? What's the theory with these Israeli planes that pretend to be from Egypt that 73 times? Now that apparently the story is within 3 days, we're at locations that some turning point things were occurring. Okay? Now, without even looking into if that's true, because there are people saying, no, that's bullshit, she's wrong. But let's assume it's true. Okay, what's the theory? Well, they were spying on Turning Point USA with planes. How does that help? What was going on? This isn't some fucking shadowy organization, Turning Point USA. It's a public organization that publicly says where they're doing events. Why would you need planes in the sky? I don't understand. Maybe the argument is, well, the planes were there because they had dropped off human sources. Okay, but then why flying about? And doesn't that seem risky? Doesn't that seem like someone connected to the government might be able to put two and two together and say, Charlie, foreign governments are spying on you. All you had to do was, it's not possible to get someone who's a Mossad agent or shit into the United States and have them drive a fucking car or take a public flight to a fucking event to avoid suspicion instead of sending Israeli military craft. Maybe it was for intimidation. Maybe they were flying because, oh, well, see, Charlie, see how powerful we are? But no, it's just like when you're like, what's the theory here? And like when I listen to Candace, like the little bits I listen, it's like, wow, people were misinterpreting the data. Okay, so it went from they were following Erica Kirk, they were in the same location, to no. Within 3 days, they were at locations that Turning Point was. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but let's say Turning Point does an event in Phoenix. What are the chances that a craft from Egypt, an airplane from Egypt, on any random day, any random 3-day section is landing in Phoenix? What's the chances of that? Probably pretty high, right? Oh, look at this, an event in New York. Turning Point had an event in New York. And would you believe it? An aircraft from Egypt within 3 days of this event landed in New York. Yes, I believe that. I absolutely do. I just don't. I don't know what the attempt, like what's being said here. It seems to me, I'm just going to call it what it is. It seems to me that people are just like, Israel does everything. And so anytime anything happens, I'm going to find a way to manipulate the evidence and say, nope, it was Israel. Anything. Car wreck on Interstate 80 here the other day. 3 people died. I think the Jews did it. Isn't it odd that within 40 miles of that wreck on the interstate, a plane from Israel landed? That's all I'm saying. And when we raised this issue, it seems that the local law enforcement was like, what the hell are you talking about? They got very defensive. They were very defensive when we brought that up. Very defensive. I'm just saying, I'm just asking questions. And I couldn't help but notice, but one of the deputies that was on the scene during this crash, 4 years ago, they went to Israel, allegedly on vacation. I'm just saying, I'm just asking questions. That's it. I'm just asking questions. That's not to say that Israel never does anything shitty, doesn't have undue influence. Of course. I agree. Israel and a bunch of other countries. I have no problem saying Israel's the worst. I'm willing to hear that. But it seems that there are people that want to be like, Israel does everything. Bad flu season this year? That's because Israel weaponized the flu. Inflation a little higher? In Israel. It's Israel's fault. When I debated someone who I think's brilliantly smart, JF Gary Epi, He told me, we were talking about Kyle Rittenhouse. He goes, did you know that every single prosecutor involved in prosecuting Rittenhouse was Jewish? I was like, I didn't know that. Yes. Yeah. I was like, really? And then I started to look and I'm like, well, this guy? And show a picture and his name's like Bob Smith or something. Well, if not Jewish, working for Jewish people. Okay. How do you debunk this? Let me see if I can find this clip real quick. I've looked for it before. Because I actually got tagged. It was quite a funny situation. Because there was this left-wing, does anyone know? I don't know how to spell his name. There was this left-wing streamer, his name was Vadim. And he put out basically implying I was saying, I was like, really? They're all Jewish. And he put that out, was like, look at Rob. He's saying they're all Jewish. And it's like, no, I was saying I'm skeptical of that claim. Yeah, and Candace Owens did say that. She said that she had a dream. And in that dream, she was told that people betrayed Charlie Kirk and that all the truth would come out. If you're asking me if I know everything about Seth Rich, JFK, etc., of course not. No. Nope. But what's the relevance? Like, insert a country. If I wanted to be like, I think China murdered JFK, I think China murdered Seth Rich, I'm sure I could find, if we look at the flight data, it's odd. Flights coming in and out of China around the area where Seth Rich was murdered was up 13%. That seems strange. Yeah, it's funny, shaky boy. Anyways, let's get that. Maybe shitting on Candace Owens isn't good for the super chat business. Is that what's going on? Day shift really getting your ass kicked by night shift here today. So let's get some of those super chats in. We got our next call. Maybe we'll talk about something other than Candace. No one's saying that we accept Kirk's murder or Candace has to accept Kirk's murder. What we're saying is if you're going to say, well, here's what I think happened, we should be allowed to not just accept that in blind faith either. Okay, how does this make sense? Where's your proof? No one's saying to just accept. Hell, you can say that about anything. Does Candace accept Trump's claims about Venezuelan drug runners? Or is she doing a deep dive? Are you? Do you just accept it? Right? You could do that with anything. All I'm saying is, that's fine. Absolutely fine to be like, I'm going to be skeptical of everything the government says. In fact, I'm going to be skeptical of everything anyone says until they provide a level of proof to me that I think is reasonable, that I say, yes, that's the most likely scenario that happened. So in that endeavor, I'm looking through what Candace is saying, and I'm like, I don't see it. Allow her to keep throwing up inconsistencies. Throwing up inconsistencies to the point where you're basically implying that Charlie's friends were involved in his death seems like a fucked up thing to do. And no one's saying that. Who's saying we don't allow her to throw up inconsistencies? Who's saying that? I haven't heard anyone say that she should legally not be allowed to talk, that she should be kicked off of platforms. Of course, we're just allowed to be like, what the fuck are you doing? If I wanted to make a bunch of money, And I knew that if I just came out with some bullshit claims that I knew were bullshit, but I said it. Let me show you how I directly know that fucking this progressive super PAC murdered Charlie Kirk. Here! And just throw out a bunch of bullshit. Knowing myself, knowing that it was bullshit, but getting a bunch of clicks and convincing of the people, would you say, hey, let Rob cook, man. Let him cook. You'd say, sure, I guess you fucking have the right to speak, but we're allowed to be like, well, where's the proof? And would that not be damaging to the memory of Charlie Kirk? To the investigation? Real quick, last super chat and then we'll... Bandit. $5 says, here's where you're wrong, Rob. Candace isn't working with Satanists. She's working with the debt call of Kali Ma. Oh, no. 100 Killer, $20 says, Rob AI Noir got the call from Cutter. And Unforged Ego, thanks so much, man. $21 says, thing is, this is the most straightforward thing of this nature that has ever happened. There's basically no ambiguity. It's what happened. It's the dumbest thing to have a conspiracy over ever. At this point, I just don't... I don't know what wouldn't be a conspiracy at this point that you could go with. And again, I don't have a problem with it. But it seems odd. It seems odd that, like, for some reason, this very people are like, question everything. Government says, I'm like, yep, I'm there. And it's like, but I'm also going to question what Candace is saying. No! Holy shit, no! Don't do that! You're a government bootlicker. Wait, what are you talking about? All right, next caller. Logical Thoughts. What's happening, my friend? How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you, Rob?
Oh, I can't complain. Doing the the Candace Owens stuff again. By the way, real quick on Cash App, NW, thank you so much for the $10. And then over on PayPal, thank you to HS. $20 on PayPal. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's fine. I was wondering if you watched any Timcast last night.
I did not. I am aware that Brian Shapiro was on there, and I heard it was basically just more of the same from him. But what do you think? Oh
God, he is such a turd. I don't know what this guy thinks he's accomplishing by going on these shows and bad mouthing Trump the way he does, because it doesn't speak to the younger men. Like when he goes on, well, he says terrible things about women and he this and that. Young men don't care about that anymore. Like, they've been berated and beaten over the head for so long, those arguments don't work. So when he seems to be going around finding anybody who will let him speak so that he can avenge his loss to Andrew. That's what it looks like to me.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. There's a little background noise. I'm not muting you to be rude. Just so to be fair, I think Brian Shapiro would have went on Timcast regardless if he debated Andrew or me. I think that that's part of his brand going out there. He certainly was on Timcast before he debated Andrew and on afterwards. So do I think there's part of it that's like he's embarrassed by his loss to Andrew? Yeah, that's why he keeps coming on my show. That's why he keeps bringing Andrew up, etc. But I think this is who he is. He has a shallow interpretation of events that's basically just talking points that he gets from liberal headlines, and he's going to keep espousing them. And he does so in a very forceful way, so people that hate Trump are going to be like, great, this is the type of guy I want. Someone that the rest of us are like, wow, this is pretty shallow and a little bit unhinged. But that's what they want. They want an aggressive person. It doesn't matter the details. They just want someone to be like, you're fucking terrible. Trump's fucking terrible. No one morally could ever vote for him because it's Charlottesville, because it's January 6th. Fuck him. That's what they want. They don't really consider to be like, well, let's look into the details of these specific events. And let's look into these claims of morality and whether or not you could ethically be like, no, that's stupid. Audience, there's a portion of the audience that eats that up. You know, as far as is that effective for people that haven't made up their mind? Probably not. I would think that a lot of people see through that and they're like, you know, I'm not impressed. This isn't really making the case for me. You know, so I don't know. But hey, maybe it's good for his brand. Maybe he's making a lot of money. Maybe he's, it helps him get a lot of opportunities. So in that sense, he's doing what he thinks is good for him. As far as a debate, I don't think he's doing so hot. I just don't. So let me unmute you there. There you go.
Well, I really don't think he understands the argument of because you don't like it doesn't mean it's wrong. Like, just because you don't think that it's good doesn't mean that other people won't think it's good. And you can't get that through to him. He doesn't understand that, I don't think.
Well, yes. The problem is when you approach things from, if you're not looking at things through an ethical lens, if you're just saying, I assume that people vote for the reasons they want. So I'm not going to impugn you as a person for voting the way you want. But let's look at policies, right? Then it's not as fuzzy. It's just was Trump's tax cuts good? Is Trump's tariffs good? Is Trump bombing Venezuelan boats good? Right? And we look at it through almost a utilitarian calculus. Of course, you could still have some deontology in there, whether or not something is morally acceptable in its own right. But once you start to make it, which is what he wants to do, because there is power in trying to shame people into saying, you shouldn't even come to that calculus. You should, and look, there's a reason that Democrats want to do this. Their policies fucking suck. People don't like them. People didn't like their border policies. People don't like their big spending policies. They don't like them, right? So you make it a character issue. You yourself are of poor moral character if you vote for Donald Trump because he is of poor moral character. And so therefore, forget about the policies. So on one hand, Brian will say, I want to talk about the policies. But I've talked to him 3 times now, and he barely says shit about the policies. All it is Trump's unethical, Trump's immoral. That's it. And so there's a reason that he's doing that. And you don't, newsflash, yes, Trump's unethical. And so is every other human being that's ever existed. Trump's lied. And so is every other human being that's ever existed. Sans Jesus, right? You're saying things that are true. Wow, how could you support someone that cheated on their wife? You're like, yeah, you're right. That's not a good thing. Wow, there. See? Now it looks like you win a debate. But it's that's lacking context. You also vote for someone who's done immoral things. For example, you voted for Joe Biden. He refused to acknowledge the existence of his granddaughter. That's pretty fucked up, right? Oh, this is whataboutism, blah, blah, blah. But you're making an ethical claim that I can't ethically support someone that you think's immoral. Well, maybe I don't think it is immoral, or maybe I do agree it's immoral, but I think that the other things, the policies, were more important. And so he is not a deep thinker. He got pissed off in that when I was on his radio show when I said this, he's very shallow. As soon as he'll make a claim and you're like, well, let's dive into this claim. And he wants out of it immediately. He just wants to go on to the next talking point. He doesn't want to get to the details, right? For example, can you imagine, the way Trump talks about shit after violence, blah, blah, blah. It's Joe Biden told Trump to go back to his bunker, right? After they were calling him Bunker Boy because he's moved to a bunker. And his response is something to this effect. Well, that's because up until that point, everybody in the Trump team had been saying that Joe Biden was in a bunker. And back to January 6th, it's wait, where? Show me. Show me anyone saying that Joe Biden was in a bunker up until that point. This is willful ignorance. The reason that Biden used the word bunker was because that was the narrative going on at the time, because it was true that Trump had to be moved to a bunker and Democrats were attacking him as basically being a coward. And that's why Biden chose the word bunker. But he doesn't want to get into the details of that. He don't even know shit all about May 30th, 31st, 2020. You don't know. You don't know about it at all, right? And so as soon as you start to delve into the specifics, it's nope, moving on to the next thing, right? We don't want to talk about that. Just move on to the next thing. So like I said, it can seem effective for someone that's already on your side because you're yes, offense, right? Trump's a scoundrel. He cheats on his wife. Okay, wait, let's talk about that. And he lies. Okay, so wait, let's talk about that. And he's a thief. Okay, so wait a minute, let's talk about that. And he's a bigot. Okay, let's talk about that. And he's a racist. Okay, let's talk about that. And he's a sexist. Okay, let's talk about that. And that's all the time we have today. That's it. That's basically what it's like to argue with him. It's you just filibuster and you make these accusations with no depth to it at all. And then as soon as someone's well, let's dive into this and let's see how it compares to sort of the side that you're cheering for. That's ridiculous. Next, moving on to the next thing. So Let me unmute you. There you go.
Oh, I totally agree. He does the whole, he just starts spurging and spitting out as many talking points as he can. And then when you try to question him about it, oh, then we got to move on to something else. It's very irritating. To be honest, I watched about 30 minutes of Timcast and cut it off. I couldn't take it anymore.
Was Tim there last night?
No, it was, what's his name? The rock and roll guy.
Yeah, Labonte.
Yeah, Phil Labonte. Yeah.
I
mean, he did good, but he didn't push back as like Tim does. Tim can really push back when he wants to.
They should have had me on with Brian. I'd push.
I agree. You haven't been on Timcast yet, have you?
Yeah, at one time.
I'll have to go back and watch it.
Yeah. I'll get back on. I will. Once the new year starts, I've been busy. I'm working on some stuff. But once the new year starts, then yeah, I will be. I'll be going to bigger shows. So
I'd love to see it.
Well, hey, thanks so much for the call, Logical Thoughts. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Rob.
All right, have a good one. By God and Iron, $5. Thank you. You, audience, unbelievable. We only got an hour left in the show, and we only have 17% of our dono goal. Holy smokes. What am I going to do? Let's see here. What can I do to punish you all? You know what I haven't done in a while? The first song that I wrote the lyrics for on this channel, I used AI to do the music. I mean, my band in the garage did the music. Was this song, because I was very uncomfortable grifting, as you could see. Oh, that's the wrong one. I was just, I don't know. I still feel weird doing it. But here's what we'll do. We're going to play a little grifting song while we get those donos up to at least 50%. I think that's reasonable. So here we go. I'll leave you with this for a second.
Take
Oh, look at that. There we got some donos. You guys are the best. What's up,
Look at
Evans?
them come in. Hey, the calls are light this morning. I'm a little confused. What's
It's
going
all right.
on here?
It's all right. I got stuff to talk about, so we'll move
Oh,
on.
you
to
do?
other
Oh,
stuff. Yeah.
fantastic.
Elbows, thanks so much for the $1. Always appreciate it. And look at this legend. Jolly Feats, $100. So let's meet that goal. Merry Christmas, Rob. God bless you and your family. Thank you so much, and same to you. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well,
Unbelievable.
You got fun things to talk about. This is fantastic.
Chop chop, $20. Love me some Mama's family pictures too. After the old ladies attacked me last night, I came to make up for night shift slagging, but it looks like day shift's dropping the ball as well. They're picking up the pace now. OG2ENV, thanks for the $2. And then Bandit $2 says, how much to get you to write the rest of the song? That is the song. That's how they used to write songs. My son's favorite song is the song Lovely Day. By Bill Withers. And it's basically just one verse over and over again. It's a damn good song.
So I shit you not, my son smiles when he hears the robnoerr song.
Nice.
So I think I got him indoctrinated already.
Nice. All right. I'm gonna. If anybody wants to call on, let me know. I'm going to cover another story, which is absolutely fine. But all right, let's do it.
Well, then I'm gonna get back to work in the back.
All right. Thank you, man. Let's see. Which one to cover? Well, let's do this one. So I recently did a few debates, one on food stamps versus this guy, First Amender. Then I had a bunch of debates talking about like Somalia, the fraud that was going on there, sort of government programs. Now, when I did the Somali debate the other day, one of the things I talked about was I thought that there were basically three directions that debate could go. One, hyper specifically talking about whether or not the politicians in Minnesota were involved in the cover-up, right? Two, the idea of immigration from a place like Somalia in the first place and what that means. And third, and this is where it didn't go, but it very well could have, how these big government programs are rife with fraud, right? So we have a caller that called in, but I'll play this video first. It's not just these food programs and autism programs in Minnesota. It's all across. We saw it with the COVID funds and everything. So here we have, who is this exactly? I forget the name of this woman. I should know. I apologize for that. But here she's going to talk from the Trump administration about food stamp fraud.
We are announcing federal charges against two men, Antonio Bonner and Saul Elisme, for large-scale SNAP benefit trafficking, a scheme that turned a program designed to feed families into a multi-million-dollar criminal enterprise. SNAP benefits are also known as food stamps. The defendants are charged with one count of food stamp fraud. As alleged in the charging documents, these men abused one of the government's most critical safety net programs for their own financial gain. This is taxpayer money meant to keep people from going hungry. These defendants decided to take it for themselves. These defendants exchanged SNAP benefits for cash, which they pocketed. Bonner, a naturalized U.S. citizen from Haiti, owned the Jesuela Variety Store. Elisme, a lawful permanent resident also from Haiti, owned the Saul Mache Mixe store. These two businesses were co-located within a single storefront in Boston. To be certain, these were not supermarkets. They were not full-service groceries. It would be a huge stretch to even call them convenience stores. In fact, the only thing convenient about these stores was how easy it was to commit SNAP benefit fraud. To put this in perspective, the Jesuela Variety Store is less than 150 square feet in size, smaller than some bathrooms. The Saul Mache Mixe store was approximately 500 square feet in space. By contrast, a supermarket can be 20,000 to 60,000 square feet in size, have a dozen or more registers, and employ numerous employees. Both the Jesuela Variety and Saul Mache Mixe stores had one register, no carriages, no hand baskets, and very little food for sale. One legitimate supermarket in the same area as these stores redeems approximately $80,000 in SNAP benefits per month. Over the last 20 months, the Josuela variety store was redeeming between 3 and 6 times that amount monthly, with nowhere near the space, inventory, customers, or infrastructure to support it. The Sal Mache Mixe store redeemed over $120,000 in SNAP benefits in the last 6 months. Simply put, there is no plausible way SNAP eligible food could have been purchased from these stores for this long. Yet, these 2 stores are alleged to have illicitly trafficked nearly $7 million in SNAP benefits.
There you have it. That's the story. Almost every time you have government programs and sending out money, you're going to see extensive fraud like that, particularly when you have people that are coming from countries where they're able to sort of send that money back to the country. This is one of the things we saw that was overwhelming with the PPP loans, or I'm sorry, I think the PPP loans. They estimated up to 15% of it was fraud, and much of it sent outside the country. So you set up a fake stall, you have people exchange food stamps for cash, then you have something to run it through, to wash it through. This place, 150 square feet, that's half the size of my fucking office that I'm in right now. And they're redeeming $80,000 of food stamps a month? Get the fuck out of here. That's you paying for that. And the problem is, it's weaponized by being like, oh, but don't you care about the poor and needy? But the problem is, these people clearly don't. If you really cared about the poor and needy, then you would be ensuring that fraud like this isn't happening. But instead, it seems the exact opposite. Now, I've talked about this before. I happen to grow up in an area where people were on food stamps. I had been on food stamps at a point in my life. I'm telling you right now that food stamp abuse is through the fucking roof. It is quite common, particularly if you have a substance issue, if you're an alcoholic, if you're a drug addict, to sell your food stamps and then use that money to purchase these other things: drugs, alcohol, gamble. I've seen people do that. I've seen people sell their food stamps to gamble. It's surreal, and we just have to pretend this doesn't occur and it's not widespread. And everyone who's being honest that lives in an area where there's been food stamps will tell you the same fucking story. That's the way it goes. And when you point it out, it's like, oh, you're fucking classist, you're a bigot, you're a sexist, you're a racist, you're a homo, whatever. You're some sort of fucking asshole. You're immoral. How dare you? How dare you question this? Don't you care about the hungry people? Man, fuck you. That's my feelings on it. Again, it goes back to the situation I talked about. It's Halloween. You can't be there. You have a Ring camera. You set out a big bowl of candy. You put a sign up. Kids, take one. You check the Ring camera afterwards. Before any kid got the candy, you see your adult neighbor come over and take the whole bag of candy, throw it in his bag, and leave. Next year, same thing. Next year, same thing. So the 4th year, you put up a sign, I'm sorry, I can't put out candy anymore. And that same adult that stole that candy for 3 years running knocks on your doors and goes, don't you care about the children? Don't you care? No, I'm sorry. The abuse, the fraud, the fact that Americans are struggling in other ways. I'm sorry, no. I don't care. We don't want people that come in from foreign countries that we then have to provide government resources for. Nope. If you can't immediately contribute, I'm sorry, no. We don't want programs without oversight that spend billions upon billions of dollars that could be abused. We're tired. All right. Let's get to our next caller. I don't know what topic he wants to talk about, but Kerry, you ready to go? I saw you had a cam on. You don't have to put your cam on, man, if you don't want. That's perfectly reasonable. But what's up, Kerry? How you doing? Oh, couldn't hear you there. I saw you unmuted.
Okay.
There
Hi.
we go. I got you. What's happening, man?
Hi, good day. I'm Kerry. Actually, currently I'm not in the US. I'm currently in Spain.
Okay.
But I had a a father who was a U.S. citizen until his death. He grew up in the U.S., especially your state, Pennsylvania. He lived
That's where I'm
in,
from. Yeah.
yeah, he lived over 30 years in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Then he moved because he was a doctor. Went back because I'm originally from Nigeria. So he
Okay.
went back to Nigeria to start a hospital. So he died in Nigeria back then. But long
Did
story.
he get the hospital started?
Yeah.
Good for
He
him.
had a hospital. Yeah. He attended Eastern College, St. David's. So
Nice.
at Brynmore. So he's very, very American. And I always remember him talking about American values and everything. And those were the set of people that actually came to the US from foreign countries with nothing like aid. They came down, they worked every single day of their lives to get the lives they got. So but the reason why I'm calling you, I just want to call you to thank you that I enjoy watching your show. And
Thank you.
You've also helped me out too in the debate phase, because a lot of times I used to go on TikTok, I used to get so disheartened because it was always some idiots would just put up Trump is the worst thing that's happened to the country. And then you get on there, they mute you, scream at you. Before you could get a sentence out, they scream at you. Exactly what this guy did to you, Brian. Yeah. He'll mute you. While he mutes you, he screams at you, calls you all sorts of names. Then before you could put a question across, he mutes again, or he cuts the question across. They do that. So I'm just glad to see people like you and Andrew, glad to see people like you come back. And also people who still believe kind of that they still hope for America despite everything that's happening. Even as an immigrant, there's so many things I see in the immigrant community, and I have to call it out. But if you do it, they call it sellout. They call it all sorts of names. So, but it's what we used to.
That's certainly true. I think that what you see is particular, like I know several Hispanic people that are like second generation immigrants, right? And what you'll see is they're basically shamed for being like, yeah, I support Trump's, or I support secure borders, or I support only allowing people in that will be beneficial and believe in like sort of the American way of life. And they'll get attacked worse than someone like me. Like they're called sellouts, or, you know, if you're black, you'll be called an Uncle Tom, things of that nature. And it's
called the house N.
Yes.
House N word, the C word, the coon.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And like there is no hatred. See, the game that the left wants to play a lot, this like cultural Marxist game where it separates us based on race or separates us based on sexual orientation, etc. They hate people more that are in these alleged oppressed groups that are like, no, I'm not oppressed. No, this is wrong. They hate that. They absolutely hate that. So they would hate an immigrant who was like, actually, I think that the Trump people are absolutely right. I think the conservatives are absolutely right to say, wait a minute, we're bringing in way too many people that are living off the dole, that don't believe in the culture, and we don't want that. I think they're right. They'll hate you because you shatter their narrative that like this is all about, So I totally get that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. Like over here in Spain, because I've been in Spain for a while, I speak Spanish fluently and everything. In Spain, you can't even get a McDonald's job if you can speak the language. Nobody gives an F.
Right.
So, and the same thing, what you just talked about, I found out that this, like what we'd call like what MAGA is, but in Spain, we call it Vox. So like there's a party that's really anti-immigration, anti-everything. There's some black guy from Africa that became like a spokesperson for Vox. So they call him Negro de Vox. That's in Spanish. Do you know that this guy gets abused, gets racially insulted by white liberals? They'll call him the N-word, like they'll call him everything, but in Spanish. And nobody bats an eyelid because he's a black guy working for the people they don't like. So
that's absolutely true. You even see it like even here, Herman Cain, black man, Ben Carson, black man, worked for the Trump administration. They'd be called racial. They talk about it all the time. They'd never seen racism like they saw coming from these white liberals because they were deemed to have sold out. Like, and the truth is, like, it's something I say all the time. The reason that you see the lefties that will accuse you of racism so many times is because I think truly in their eyes, they view everything through the lens of race. So they assume the rest of us do. So for example, if I say like, I don't know. I don't think we should be sending aid to Haiti. Oh, because you're a racist. What they're really doing is telling on themselves, saying, when we send aid places, we do it based on race, which to me is a racist proposition. It's like, it should be based on need. That's if you say, look, this country's in need, or this group of people is in need, fine. Like, we could agree or disagree whether or not we should be sending that money. But as soon as you say, well, wait, we should send it based on race, right? Then it's like, wait, but they assume anytime you're against something like that, that's because you're race, because they're so hyperfixated. They want to, like, there's some of the cruelest, just watch, let me give you an example that's not race-based, right? Like, how many times have you seen the left say, like, you can't make jokes that, like, at the gay community, this, that, or the other, but they can't wait to use those same terms that they claim to hate against you. Like, say what you will about Nick Fuentes, right? Like him, dislike him, whatever. Like, what's the liberal attack on him? Well, he's gay Mexican.
Yeah, he's been called
okay. Like, I thought that was stuff we weren't supposed to do. What they really mean that, like, I've read a lot about this. It's sort of a lot of these liberals would be the same people that without it would have been bullies, like in school, it's children. They would have been bullies. And now they could be bullies while still claiming to be the victim of bullies. Right? Yeah. So now it's like we get to use the same petty bullshit insults and attacks that any bully would have always used going back for years, except now they get to appear virtuous while they're doing it. That's what's going on.
They hit you while still crying out loud.
That's exactly it. Yep.
Take, for instance, the past few days. I want to be truthful with you. Yes, Trump has a problem. Sometimes it goes overboard. But when we complain about his tweet, man, we need to shut the F up. For someone who wished you death, someone who said that, in fact, I want to see you in jail. If that person dies, I don't think you should be saying he was a good man. I think it would be, in fact, I think if Trump had gone ahead and said, oh, right now he's the greatest guy, people would have said he's a hypocrite. So
that's true.
That's what happens. So damned if you do, damned if you don't.
He should have said nothing. But yes, you're right. The problem is it's easy for us from the outside perspective. If a guy spent his entire life, okay, let me put it this way. If a guy spent so much time and energy for the past 8 years trying to throw my ass in prison and then died, maybe I'd be like, you know what, good riddance. That might be what I would say about that. Now, as the president, maybe things should be a little different, but I see your point totally. I see your point that if he would have came out and been like, oh, Rob Reiner, good God, people would have been like, this is garbage. He's just saying it. This is fake. You know, I don't think he should have said anything, but I do see your point, you know?
No, I think the problem that they tend to have nowadays is that the new set of Republicans, or more like the MAGA kind of people, are not the people that they could just scream and insult us or call racist and they shut up or apologize.
Right.
So take, for instance, you tell Trump you're racist. It's like, okay, take the middle finger. Oh, Rob, you're racist. Andrew, you're racist. And you guys are like, man, go F yourselves.
Yep.
So that's the problem they have. They don't know what to do. That's why they keep doing it. Look at your, take, for instance, look at you. I went on Brian's site. The same video that you did with him, he was chopping it up. All the parts he muted you, everything, he chopped it up. Then they say, oh, MAGA podcaster. So Brian wants to tell me he doesn't know you. He said he was just surfing and he stumbled across you. Oh.
Yeah, I know. It's so disingenuous. It really is. Well, hey, Kerry, thank you so much for the call, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Nice to be here.
Every Tuesday, Thursday at noon Eastern time, we do a call-in show. So call back in, man. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, great call. Yeah. All right. And nice to get new people. I like that. We're at 60% of our goal. Next up, we have the great Miggy. But before we do that, I'm going to give you the real star of the show. Everybody's favorite person. Always brings in the donos. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking about Chair. Give it up for Chair. Go ahead. There you go. Oh, Chair, come on. Don't be shy. Don't turn around. I'll be right back. I have to go to the restroom. Chair, get him.
Ha ha ha. Time for the Rob Noerr.
This is the Rob Noerr Show. It's not the Nor Rob Show. This is my favorite show.
But make sure you get those
Because
other
it
hits.
is my show. If this was your show, you'd probably like it more. But maybe that's just because it was your show. But it's not your show.
Oh,
It's the Rob Noor Show.
Well, I'm still watching. I'm just leaving the backstage. And I'm watching as soon as you move, and then I'm just quickly coming back on because I'm taking conference calls and things like that. Yeah, and I'm also jumping into other stuff.
Yeah, Lobster, $20 says, won't always agree with you, and we may get our blood pressure up with my takes, but I could get through my day without you. Merry Christmas to you and your family. And oh, fuck Texas. Look at that. Lobster, you're always one of my favorite people to talk to, and I hope your family is having a wonderful Christmas season. I know for you as a delivery driver, it's probably a nightmare, but it's almost over. And you get to spend some time with your family. So thank you so much, Lobster. And Logical Thoughts, Logical Thoughts, who called in earlier, $10 says, here's $10. I'm stealing your Halloween hypothetical. Please do. It's a good one. Let me check real quick. All right. Next up, let's get to our next caller here.
Fantastic. To the back.
Thanks, Savers. Chair brought in 0 donuts. I'm telling you, this chair's heading to the dumpster. We got 40 minutes left in the show. Let's see if we can get to our goal of $357. We're going to try real hard. I know what you've all been waiting for. Our good friend, Miggy. Miggy, how are you doing today, man?
Doing pretty good. You might hear in the background is the wind battering the apartment because we've been having this powerful windstorm for the past couple of days. Went through the northwest United States. It's now in the Midwest. In fact, I don't know if you guys saw in the news, but they saw we had major flooding in the state of Washington, where many of the towns are underwater, and then dams is broken. And then yesterday around the afternoon, well, I think it's late morning, they had a severe windstorm event. A line of severe thunderstorms going through Washington State and Idaho, where they issued severe thunderstorm warnings with 80-mile-per-hour wind tags and destructive tags on it. Yeah. Pretty rare for the month of December.
We've had, so here in PA, as far as the weather's gone, it's been just this nagging snow. It's like every day it's like you get 2 inches, and then it's like right on the cusp of 32 degrees. So it'll go from snow to rain and then freeze over, then back to snow. We've been pretty lucky here the past couple of days. It's been like 40 degrees and no snow. So I've actually been able to get some stuff done outside that I wanted. But no severe weather, just nagging, annoying weather is what we've had.
Yeah, so they had severe weather in the valley with those 80-mile-per-hour destructive winds. I think they had wind gusts reported high as 90 miles per hour in some areas in the Idaho, in the Snake River, Idaho Valley. And the high mountains have blizzards with feet of snow and 100-mile-per-hour winds.
Crazy.
So now it's in the Midwest, and they're seeing blizzards in the Dakotas and Minnesota. Down here, we're just getting this cold and blasting winds.
Sucks. So what do you think, what's on your mind news-wise this week?
Well, just seeing that the fact that the FBI is seeing problems again with Dan Bongino pretty much leaving the FBI, which is not surprising given the fact. Honestly, I think it's just the agency that's beyond broken to the point that I don't think we can fix it. You might have to disband it and try and form a new agency or something.
I totally agree. I think that it is broken beyond repair. The problem is it's become too powerful. And so if you leave any roots of it, it's going to just spring right back up under the right circumstance. So you just have to rip it out at the root. Right now, I mean, again, I'm a broken record on this, but if you hate Trump, right, if you're a Democrat, that's fine. I get it. Orange man bad, FBI get him. Totally get it. I understand why you would like have that impulse. You think this man's like, the reincarnation of that Austrian painter. Got it. Here's the problem. When Chuck Schumer admitted before Trump even took office that you as the president cannot criticize the FBI because they will take you down. They'll find 6 ways from Sunday to get back at you. Every single American, right or left, should have been like, wait, what? You mean unelected bureaucrats? Unelected bureaucrats with the power law enforcement intelligence people with literally the power to spy on every aspect of your life, to arrest you, that they're so corrupt that if you criticize them, they're going to find a way to attack you. If they could do that to the president of the United States, who can't they do that to? Like that's find the people that you can't criticize, and those are the people that run the country. And so I never understood it. I didn't. Chuck Schumer, this isn't some Republican that said this. This is the opposition to Donald Trump. The opposition who's admitting he has no reason to lie, to help Trump out. He's admitting on national television, yeah, Trump shouldn't criticize the FBI. They're going to screw him over. And they have been for 9 years now.
The thing is, like, this is the problem with the post-war consensus. They have expanded so much power throughout the years. And you see in the EU, you see it in the West, that it's basically become overbearing. Like, it's hard to get rid of them, and people just had enough of it. Like, you see in Bulgaria, they rejected the idea of joining the EU because they would have been destroyed. The bureaucrats are now, they want X. They want to take over X because of the fact that I think it's like less than 10% of the British men are willing to fight and die for the British country. Like, why would you want to fight for a country that hates you and important people that don't like you either? So they're trying to rein that back in so they can basically have many young white men, to go and fight the Russians. So when they all not make it, they're just gonna replace them with the minorities from all around the world. So that's basically what the post-war.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole EU project is so nonsensical. Why any citizen in any country that's party to the EU would be happy with this boggles my mind. Like, I don't care if you're a right or a left winger. Hypothetically, if you believe that you should have a say in your government, maybe you don't. Maybe you're just a fucking, hey, I'm a monarchist. I believe I shouldn't have any input. Fine, great. But anyone who believes they should have any input, how can you be happy with a situation where unelected officials in Brussels basically have more influence over your country than your own elected officials? Your vote doesn't matter.
They're looking to try to take X. They want to take. They want to basically confiscate X from Elon Musk because they don't like the fact that it's a free speech platform.
Yes, and as I said yesterday, I think that there are U.S. intel officials that are on board with that as well. The problem is it's hard for these officials to censor legally because we have a First Amendment here. Now, they still do, but it's hard for them to blatantly do so. And so instead what you do is outsource it to the European Union. And they know, and I've explained this, right? It's hard. You might be like, well, wait a minute, who gives a shit? If the European Union finds X over there, fine, fuck it, whatever. We still have free speech here. No, because what happens is X isn't going to be able to be like, fine, we'll limit everyone's speech in Europe, but not in the United States. As soon as they do that, X becomes worthless in Europe, right? And so they're not going to get access to that market. And the technology that would be necessary to prevent bad posts in the United States from being viewed in Europe would be a nightmare. It'd be so difficult to do. And so what'll happen would be that X will either be fined to the point where, one, they go bankrupt out of principle, right? Or they're not able to compete with other platforms. Or most likely, second, they have no choice but to censor everyone, including back here in the United States, in order to continue to remain profitable to be able to exist in the European Union market. And so that's what they're hoping. And so the people in the United States that want an end to free speech, they're like, great, we can't personally attack X. We can't do that. But we could work with the European unions and facilitate them attacking X to ensure that free speech is curtailed there, which means it'll also be curtailed here. That's the agenda.
Yeah, if that happens, that's pretty much it because, this is what the last election was pretty much, like us giving this post-war consensus one final chance to not fuck this up, and of course they're fucking it up, and now they want to go further and further into this into tyranny. Like, this has been ongoing. This is done by design for 80 years or so, and this is like the final stages of what they're trying to achieve, and the people, especially younger generations, aren't buying it. The older generation, they sold out, they caved, they sold out, and especially the Republicans, that was supposed to be our protectors, they sold us out. Like, at this point, people are just gonna be like, we're having enough. and hopefully it doesn't end up pretty nasty down the line. But like I said, I try to be hopeful, but sometimes I feel black pill.
I know it gets that feeling, but here's, we talk about this a lot culturally, how things are more important and that culture moves before politics. And you can see the culture moving in this direction. And the other thing is, look, the fact that you could see it, the fact that we see the agenda is reason enough not to be black-pilled. Once you see what you're up against, it helps you be able to start moving forward to do things to stop that. And so, it would be even more black-pilled if we're just like, we don't even see this shit. So, but Miggy, it's always a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for calling in. It's always great to talk to you. So,
yeah, not one step back.
Thank you, Miggy. We'll talk soon, man.
All right.
So he's talking about. I'm gonna nerd out here for a minute, if you guys don't mind. Recently, I've been watching this 40-hour video on YouTube. And I talked about it, how I'm impressed that some guy did a 40-hour video. And it's a retrospective on the video game series Metal Gear. And I remember, I loved the Metal Gear games when I was young. The PS1, I remember getting Metal Gear Solid and beating it. And I was super excited for Metal Gear Solid 2. And I was one of the people that was pissed off that the majority of the game you weren't playing as Snake, the main guy from all the Metal Gear games. Blah, 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 blah. Anyways, the premise of Metal Gear Solid 2, spoiler alerts for a game that's 25 years old. So the premise of it is that there is this shadowy organization called the Patriots that are really running every decision in the government. And all the games up until that point, Metal Gear, the titular object, was a walking tank that could shoot nuclear bombs, right? And that was the threat. Oh shit, what if this country had a tank that could launch a nuclear weapon from anywhere, right? But that's not really what's going on in Metal Gear Solid 2. The whole facility ends up being a big Metal Gear, but all it is AI. That's all it is. And that these shadowy people called the Patriots that really run the United States government and have ran it for like 100 years, they are building this AI to curate information, to basically censor shit. And their argument is people are too stupid. That when the internet becomes out, and I think this game was released at like 2001. So this is before the advent of like social media. And the game's very prescient, where it's like, listen, it's going to be hard to control stories and the flow of information anymore, because once the genie's out of the bottle with social media and people could just say whatever they want online and communicate with each other, it's going to be real hard for us to control the media. That's the idea of what's going on. So they curate this giant AI that the entire point of the AI is that it's able to, in real time, promote propaganda and delete stories that they don't like. And so, like, the way they said, it's like, yeah, you in real time might be like, well, this is bullshit. But they'll be able to, GW, that's the name of the AI that was going to do this. And so they explain it in the game. Yeah, Ducky gets it. Snake! They explain in the game, right? Like, so imagine this. Imagine that something happens in real time and we're all like, yeah, that's bullshit. But it won't matter because we have finite lives. So inevitably, we get older and we move on to other priorities, or we die. And then what happens is the historical record from everything that you can see is what was allowed to be pushed. Now, this game comes out in like 2001, right? Now go through COVID. They've already largely successfully rewritten the narrative of what happened with COVID. There weren't really lockdowns. What are you talking about? It wasn't that bad. We lived through it. We saw it. But 20 years from now, when we're all old and talking about other shit, and young people are looking at, they ain't gonna know. They're gonna know what they can see online. That's what they're gonna know. Just like me, you don't think that if I go back and I look at a story, what were people talking about in 2004, 2005? My memory's not that good. I'm going to largely believe what I could look up online. So what happens if you have some sort of AI that in real time is promoting shit that they want and censoring shit that they don't? And that's the thrust of the game. The villain in Metal Gear Solid 2, he's like, fuck that. That's the whole point. This is the bad guy that's like, I refuse to accept that. I believe in freedom. Fuck that. I don't want these unnamed shadowy figures to run the country and be the arbiters of what is true and what's not. And only they get to decide what the public narrative will be. I refuse to accept that. That's it. That's the villain. And you're the guy fighting him. You end up unknowing, but you end up working for the dudes that are like, nope, human beings are stupid. We have to control the information. That's it. That's what the story is. And it's like, that came out in 2001. And that's basically it in a nutshell. And by the way, you could make a case. You could absolutely make a case that humans are too stupid and we need to censor shit because they're too fucking dumb. You could do it. It's very difficult, right? For example, do you think that we should know every little thing that our intel community knows? I think it's not unreasonable to suggest that, like, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, we are probably real fucking close to nuclear annihilation. Do you think we should have been reporting that on the news in real time? Freaking people the fuck out? Probably not. Probably wouldn't have helped the situation. So it's, yeah, the Lolly Lulelo. Yeah, that was, and then the other, after Metal Gear, the rest of the Metal Gear games after that sort of, not so much 5, I don't think, but the rest of them sort of expound on this idea. But it's like, you can see that that's what happens. That there is, it may not be some big AI, though it may be in the future, but there's a concerted effort to control the flow of information. And that's what's happening with X. That's what all of this has been up. That's what it was about when you couldn't talk about the pandemic. That's what it was about when you couldn't talk about the 2020 election. And it's not as bad in the United States as bad as it was. It's not as bad as it is in places like Europe. A guy just got 30 months in prison for a post on social media. 2 posts that he made on social media after the German attacks, refugee attacks, killing people. He made 2 posts on social media that had 33 views. Basically saying, we don't want these fucking migrants in our country. He's looking at 30 months in prison. 33 views. Now, you would want to think, yeah, but people will rise up. Will they? Will they? "30 years from now, if they win, if people become fearful in the UK to talk about this, 30 years from now, there'll be some talking head saying, the British people have accepted this all along. There was never complaints when this was going on in real time. It's only racist and bigots now that some 30 years on are complaining. This is what the people wanted. Don't believe me? Go check social media. Go ahead from back then. Go ahead, go check social media posts from 30 years ago. See? There wasn't negative commentary. No shit. Because you threw everyone in jail that was. Same thing with COVID. You had doctors that were speaking up. I don't know about these vaccines. I don't know about these lockdowns. Shut those fuckers up. And then they said, see, there's a consensus. See? We see that in real time. They ain't going to know that 30 years in the future. They're going to look back and say, well, all the doctors thought this way. They all thought it. That's the way it must have been. How do we fucking know when we look back 30, 40 years in the past, the shit that we weren't alive for, that those stories were being told are true? So yes, the European Union's desperate. Because here's the thing, and you could maybe even accept it if you were like, well, but these governments that are controlling the flow of information, they're benevolent. They're benevolent. They're good. They're doing a great job. Everyone's doing great. But it's not like that. It's like, yeah, you know what? Actually, we don't want the mass migration. Shut the fuck up. Hey, we don't like being locked down. Shut up. We don't like the fact that the middle class is eroding. Shut the fuck up. They see the problem. Their policies are shit. People don't like it. So, what do they got to do? Control the flow of information. Yes, don't be Candace. Yeah. That's what's going on with the European Union censoring X. That's why I said from the get-go, Elon Musk was more of a threat to the establishment than Donald Trump. And this ain't me saying Elon Musk is the greatest. He could do no wrong. I don't know. Elon Musk might be someone who's just a piece of shit that's in it for personal interest, etc., etc. Elon Musk, I will say that. I don't believe that, right? But I will say this. I don't think Elon Musk is a true 100% free speech absolutist. Of course he's not. Almost no one is. We all have reasonable limits on speech. Like, should you be allowed to be screaming pornographic shit at a preschool with children? No. Oh, so you're not a free speech absolutist. You see the point. And Elon, certainly there's been things with X that I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? But it was the threat that someone possibly outside the scope of the establishment would allow people to speak. They don't like that. That's the biggest threat to them. The biggest threat is people actually being able to talk about what's on their mind. In that sense, you're joking around a little, but yeah, they don't want a Candace Owens. That doesn't mean Candace is right. The downside to unfettered free speech, or the closer you get to it, is there's going to be a lot of fucking crazy people saying shit. That's true. The authoritarians say, we don't want those crazy people saying shit. Shut them up. But what's the greater harm? Yes, there will be crazy people saying crazy shit. But the counter is to put total faith in people to control the narrative and assume that they'll allow things critical of themselves to be said. And that ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. They're not going to allow free speech that points out how shitty they are. They're not going to do that. So in the name of shut up the Candace Owens type person, it also becomes, and by the way, she shouldn't be shut up anyways, for both principle and strategic sense. But if you accept that she would, right, what happens is they also say, oh, and also shut up those people that are criticizing our invasion of Iraq. Shut them up too. That's dangerous. It'll lower morale. Could cause violence. And by the way, you see the lefties call for this. It's very troubling, right? The amount of censorship that they want. We got one more caller, and then that'll be it. We got like 5 minutes because then I got to yell at people for a couple minutes. But our good friend AJ, what's happening today, AJ?
Hey, bud. Good to see
How's
you.
it going?
Hey, quick reminder. This is just like I was listening. I was running errands, and I barely got home one time just to be able to say hello. Quick reminder, and I was speculating on this last night. Let's say it's all true. Okay, I know we only got 5 minutes, so I'm going to try and barrel roll through this. Let's say it's all true. Illuminati's true. There's these global elites, and they're being able to influence governing aspects and regulations, and they do all this stuff, and they do it all because they think they're superior, and only the mighty will prevail in this world. Only the strong survive type of scenario is the mind frame that they've been working in. Right? Cool. Okay. I've seen all the conspiracy theory documentaries. I know the whole gist of all of that, and that's kind of the grain of sand that they operate in with the theme that I've seen throughout all these documentaries. Okay, then let's say that they're winning. Cool. It still doesn't change our responsibility as a people. We're supposed to be self-governing, and that's the point. And I think that's what everybody's starting to really not understand anymore. I think a lot of people have detached from that reality or that mind frame on a daily basis, where they're able to say, not just who am I going to vote for, because that's an aspect of our republic, but it's not the entirety. And I think that's one of the frustrating things that I've seen in my 30 some years of paying attention to politics. Most people now, if you were to hear about half of what we hear about today in 1995 or 1999, you would never see this much tolerance. People would be rioting in the streets. And I'm not talking about BLM riots. I'm talking about everyday mom and pops going out into the street with pitchforks and torches and going to their state governments and overthrowing Capitol buildings because they wouldn't tolerate this much.
Well, I mean, just take something in the most simple thing. This, right? If you told someone in 1995 The government will be able to track your every move with a device. And not only that, you will go out to obtain it. You'll do your best to make sure you have the best one, you know?
Yeah, that's my second point about all this. Let's say it's all true, right? Go back to what I originally said. Let's say it's all true. All they're doing is being emboldened because we keep proving to them over and over. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, let's say it's all true. Then they're being emboldened because we can't even operate our own countries anymore, nor do we have a desire to. We've written it off as hopeless. Therefore, why wouldn't they take advantage? This is what the founding fathers originally had stated, and it's in just a different form. It's the same animal in a different skin suit. And they're going to operate the same. They're going to talk the same way. They're going to lie. They're going to cheat. They're going to steal. They're going to mutilate. They're going to say, "Oh, racism. That's our next weapon. We're going to make sure that they hate each other." This is something nobody talked about in my generation whatsoever until social media took control. Literally, nobody talked about race my entire life. Nobody cared at all. It wasn't a thing. People always looked at MLK. It's the content of your character. That's all it ever was in my mind frame, and it's all it ever has been. But when I see curtailing, exactly what one of the callers said, as long as your skin tone is a certain tone, well, then you can get away with all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, this is the exact opposite of everything that we were told. And that's the point. It's just gone the opposite direction for 30 years. Nobody seems to be talking about it. Everybody wants to talk about nobodies, like the guy who died in Hollywood. I don't care. Because that's not going to save anybody. That's not going to do anything. When what's his name is resigning from the FBI next month, what does that tell you? And that's the point. And I'm thinking to myself, as I'm in this mind frame yesterday, I'm thinking when I woke up this morning, I said, what if Trump is literally sitting in the White House saying, if they can't see what's happening to their country, why should they even have it?
Yeah.
Is that a fair thing to say?
It's fair.
I don't know.
Listen, though. Let's say here's an even darker thought, maybe. Let's say the Illuminati, whatever you want to call it's real, right? And so now you were born in like 1984, like me, or 1990, and your dad's like George Soros, and he's in the Illuminati. And maybe you have questions about it. And you're like, I don't know, this is fucking shit, right? Mm-hmm. Soros could sit his son down and say, the reason we do this is because these people are too fucking stupid to govern themselves. You want proof of it? Mm-hmm. Can't you see what's happening?
Yeah.
And yet they either don't see it or they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Which one is it? Isn't that proof in itself that we're right to do this? Because clearly these dumb fucks are too stupid to be able to govern themselves. Clearly, right? Mm-hmm. And look, it is not a one-sided argument. There is an argument to be had for ruthless authoritarianism that makes people's lives better. The problem, I still disagree with that, but I'm just saying there's an argument. The problem is it's not making people's lives better. The ruthless authoritarians designed to make the authoritarians' lives better, not you, right? And so you could see a great man, right? Let's say let's go back in history before we had all these fucking technologies and stuff. You could see Genghis Khan saying, fuck you, it's my way or the highway.
Yeah.
You could see Alexander the Great saying, it's my way or the highway. Right? And if you don't like it, fuck you. We're going to take you to public scare and behead you. Fuck you. But if you follow me, your life is going to get better. And everyone around you's life's going to get better. And he was right. Yes. Not everyone, but you get it. As an aggregate, that was true.
Well, it goes back to the fundamental. This is what it comes down to in my mind. And I was thinking about this driving home. What is freedom? In most people's mind frames, freedom is, let me do whatever I want. Leave me alone. Just stay out of my life. And that's not freedom. That's an immature, childlike understanding of what freedom is. I taught all 5 of my kids, tell me what freedom is. And every single one of them will tell you, without even questioning, discipline. You have to have discipline to have freedom. You can't just walk into an instrument room and say, I want to play everything. You don't have the freedom to play anything yet because you haven't disciplined yourself to do jack shit. And that's where I kind of feel a lot of, or think, I hate that fucking word now. I hate you liberals. I hate fucking saying that shit. I know what you mean. I think what it is and what I've assessed is when people have gotten to the point of gimme, now, and just worshiping the pleasure, worshiping the moment. Stay in the moment. Don't think ahead. Just live for today. All these garbage slogans for the last 20 years that I've heard dominantly in pop culture and even in psychology in the field. In therapy, they're pushing people more now towards just stay in the moment, stay in Zen, just be here now, blah, 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 all this garbage. Nobody's planning for the future. And it's sacrifice. Everything requires sacrifice. That's the point. And if you're not willing to sacrifice, your children will sacrifice. They will have to. They won't have a choice.
No, I totally agree. This is the secular mindset that we have, right? And I'm not saying you have to be Christian in order to realize this, but Christianity clearly, which I think is the truth, obviously as a Christian myself, but it clearly shows you that sort of the pleasures of the flesh, the like what immediately makes me feel good isn't the way you should go through life. But the problem, like, and you just boil it down to like one issue, like why child rates, birth rates, why are they going down? Well, because does it feel good to just go out and have sex? Yeah. Does it feel good to buy nice cars and nice boats and go on vacation? Sure. Does a kid stop that? Yeah, it can. It can hamper that. It doesn't stop it, by the way. It's not as bad as people say, but sure, your priorities change.
All I have to do to make my 6-year-old daughter happy for Christmas is go buy her a toy store, and she'll be happy.
That's right.
All that matters,
that's
right?
all it
Just
go
buy
takes.
the toy
whole
store.
store. Yeah.
She doesn't have to earn anything. Just go give it to her.
Yes.
That's always and I'll end with this. I know we don't have any time. We're not so different than what we were when Christ was around 2,000 years ago. We're really not. We're the same type of people. We're doing the same types of sins. We're thinking the same way. We're doing the same stuff, and it's at our demise. And that's where it comes from. It doesn't come from, hey, I'm just trying to corrupt you and make you change your mind because I want you to live like me. We're at our own demise. That's what should be motivating people, not just idealisms of worshiping of pleasure or my sense of freedom. I agree with this person. They're not even willing to explore ideas anymore. They're willfully ignorant.
Yep. I totally agree. AJ, thank you so much for the call, man. Always appreciate it.
Yes, enjoy.
Have a good one. Dull and tired and fight sport talk. I'm so sorry, guys. I got a hard out at 2:30, and I know how it goes. I won't be able to get to you guys today, so I apologize. But we'll do a call-in show next Tuesday as well. So I do apologize to both of you. Yeah, I mean, I saw someone saying in the chat, and I don't know that this was directed towards me. So the government getting away with everything because of Candace. That's not what I'm suggesting at all. I'm suggesting that they will point to someone. We just use Candace as an example. I don't know, maybe you're responding to someone in the chat, but I don't believe that's the case whatsoever. I believe what happens is they use the fear of people saying, well, someone will say something crazy and that'll cause someone to do something, and so therefore we must censor, right? But the problem is that's a worse harm. That's worse. Look, the best form of government possible is a dictatorship. A benevolent, hyper-competent dictator. That's the best form of government. And then they're so smart and they are so morally virtuous and looking out for the people that they're supposed to, that they're appointing the best people, that they're managing things. That would probably lead to the best outcomes for individuals. But the authoritarian's also the worst form of government, because if you have an incompetent or if you have an evil person, there's going to be no checks on it. Democracy is the opposite. Tyranny of the majority. Well, now you don't have to worry about one person. Everybody has a say. The truth is, we want some form of something in between that. I am willing to accept that I don't have to be the big man. I don't necessarily think that I am the best person to lead this country. I don't even fucking know if I'm the best person to lead my house sometimes. But I do. I lead my house. But the problem is, when we put these people in office, we say we accept that. We accept that we're not hyper competent. I, for example, couldn't tell you the first thing about what we should do regarding food production in the United States, what policies, this, that, and the other. I have some brief feelings in the directions. I say free markets, baby, shit like that. But you get it. I don't know. But we've put so much trust in people that just are like, yeah, less and less input from you. Shut up, plebes. We'll run this shit. And now we're seeing what happens. It turns out they didn't give a shit. If you're given freedom, you may quite possibly make decisions that are terrible for yourself. You may eat until you're a big fat fuck like me. You might become a drug addict. You might piss all your money away gambling. True. You might engage in risky behaviors that ends up in you dying. That's true. But at least you're making decisions. And you, at least, are making those decisions with you in mind. The government isn't burdened by that. They don't give a fuck about you, the individual. Why would they? Even a good government isn't concerned with you, the individual. They're concerned with you, the collective. Now, what am I talking about? Do you trust the government to educate your child? You might be wrong about the education of your child as far as what the best outcome would be for the future. But at least you're making a decision with your child first and foremost in mind. The government ain't. Your child's just another data point. That's it. They're not special. My son's special to me. My son's the world. I may make poor decisions for my son. I might. But at least I'm trying to do things for my son. The government doesn't give a shit about my son. And so, let's say in public education, let's say my son's a little above average. Pretty smart, pretty good at math, pretty good at reading. The government's not looking at him and saying, well, what's the best education curriculum for him? Nope. They're giving education to the lowest common denominator. Well, if we had a math curriculum that was tailored for Rob's son, then a bunch of other kids would fall behind and no child left behind. So we'll dumb down the curriculum. Okay? Is that beneficial to my son? And that's before we even get into intentional indoctrination of children. So, the idea of freedom and personal responsibility, and those two things are hand in hand. All right. And one more super chat. Look, we're only $120 away. Trey Seller, I'm sorry. $5 is slackers. And Houdini, $20 says, keep up the great work, Rob. I hate career politicians. Thank you. Someone, look, if 3 of you send $40, we're there. I warn you, I'll be doing night shift tonight, and they're going to make fun of you. They're going to say day shift couldn't get it done. Day shift Rob's a slacker. He's a big piece of shit. The call-in show, there was a lack of calls today. You didn't reach your goal of $357. That's what's going to happen. Those night shift people were brutal. You guys wouldn't be able to tolerate them. They're the worst. So let's see if we can get 3 people to send $40. What's my job? This is my job. But I do thank you all. I know someone's going to send some more donos in here at the end. But that's okay if you don't. You guys are the best. Really. From the bottom of my heart, I can't thank you enough. I know it sounds stupid. I fucking hate the fact that I have to be like, hey, donate money. I wish I was independently wealthy and could just be like, hey, never send a dime. But it is my job. This is what I do now. So I guess part of that is asking for money. So I apologize to the people that it sounds annoying to do so. But really, from the bottom of my heart, whether we meet the goal or not, it's just a number. I'll be all right. I'm not missing many meals, as you can tell. So I do thank you so much. Thank you so much to Avers. Always appreciate you, man. Thank you. Thank you to my editor, Black Elk. Tremendous editor that I have. Great guy. Thank you so much to everyone that called in. I really appreciate it. Look at this. Thank you to Zach Gilpy. $20. Says, who gives a shit what night? Zach hates night shift more than me. Premonition gives $5. Says, sorry, I can't help more. It's your job to be proud. Thank you, Premonition. We're close now. Less than $100. One hundo donation would do her. Yeah, COD gets it. Zach Gelby, everyone. But no, I appreciate you all. Do I have trouble with portion control? Yeah. My big weakness is this. I got to be quick here, but I'll be very good. And then I'll have like something happen to like Thanksgiving, or I'll go out for friends for a night or whatever, and I eat like shit. And then it's just like the next day I'm like, oh, I must eat like shit again. That's my big thing. AJ, $10 is night who? Thank you, AJ. Almost there. Now what? We're $80 away. $83 away. So close. It's the closest. I know what the problem is. You haven't been threatened. Get him, Trump.
Tariff.
Yeah. All right. We're $83 away. Probably not going to make it. I got to move. Got to go pick up my son. But from the bottom of my heart, thank you all. Thank everyone that called in. Thank you so much to my wonderful moderators who are absolutely amazing. Thank you, everyone who donated. Thank you to everyone who chatted, who gave a thumbs up and a like on all platforms. Special thanks to everyone over on Rumble there. I know I do a terrible job of reading the Rumble chat. I'm so sorry. I need to get better at that, but you guys are awesome as well. Whoever sends money here during the outro, I very much appreciate it. Please, as we go out, just take 2 minutes to think of Charlie Kirk and what a great man he was. And remember how he was assassinated, mocked by the left, cheered on, his wife attacked. Please, just take 2 minutes out of your life to keep that in your memory and pray for the memory of Charlie Kirk and for his family. Please, 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 please. Don't just leave it be something cliche. Please just think about it and pray on it for like a minute during the outro. Thank you guys so much. We're going to be raiding over to Cool Vic, who's a cool guy. Thanks so much, Baxter Boy, for the $2. Really appreciate it. Thank you again. If anyone donates as I'm on my way out, it's much appreciated. We got like a minute to get to the 357. Let's see if we could do it. But thanks so much, everyone. I'll see you around 10 o'clock tonight. I'm not sure if I'm doing the extravaganza tonight or not. They haven't got back to me. So 10 o'clock tonight, you'll see me there. Thanks so much, everyone. As always, have a good one. God bless Charlie Kirk.
Only in America is it possible to say, you know what, I don't like the way the country is going, and to do something about it. Take that risk. Take that leap of faith. Stay involved. Trust God and act obediently. Romans 12:2 verse. That God will use all things for good for those who love him. It's bigger than you. I want you to remember that. It is bigger than you. It's bigger than me. You are here to make somebody else's life better, the pursuit of liberty and freedom. You know what gives me strength? The hundreds of thousands of you that say, Charlie, keep going.
1 Corinthians 5 and 15. So that's all pretty amazing evidence, not just intra-biblical evidence, but extra-biblical evidence that Jesus Christ was a real person. He lived a perfect life. He was crucified, died, and rose on the third day, and he is Lord and God of all.